Okie dokie.
I'm gonna show you guys how to renovate this entire room. We're gonna go with a smooth wall instead of this texture. We're gonna put smooth wall here. We're gonna get rid of all these bad, really bad mud jobs that they did. And we're gonna buff all this out and make it look as good as we can. Pretty much flawless. I'm gonna get rid of this trim right here. You can see there's some trim on the wall going from this knockdown texture that they did bad job on to this portion, which is paneling, wood wall paneling, okay? And underneath the wood wall paneling, there is sheetrock with a little bit of mold underneath it and some holes and stuff probably. There's probably a reason why they put this up. So what I'm gonna do today is tear it all off to make sure what we have and going on here. We're not just like paneling over mold or something, because I did notice this over here. So I'm wondering if there's more mold that we can't see, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna find that all out today firsthand. So I'm gonna show you guys how to take off this wall paneling. It's really easy. In some cases they'll have it glued on the wall, so it's just glued. In some cases they'll have it tacked with tack nails or screws, or it can be put on however. It's hardest to get off when it's glued. This luckily is not glued. So I'm gonna be able to take this right off. It was just pasted up with trim, I guess, and probably some nails and stuff across and throughout, who knows. We're gonna get to tearing this off, and it might just be this part that's loose and the rest might be glued, who knows. But I'm gonna start pulling this off, and that's all I'm gonna be doing, grabbing it and pulling it off, or you might wanna use a hammer or some channel locks to grip onto it, put you some gloves on, a mask, whatever, and I'm gonna start peeling this off of the wall, just like this, okay? And I'm gonna set it all in some location like that right there. And then the next piece, I'm gonna grab it. We're not gonna worry about it. We're just gonna grab piece by piece, and we're gonna peel it off the wall. Whatever's on the wall, we'll just have to fix it, because this paneling has to go. So that's all I'm gonna be doing, is peeling off the wall paneling just like that, all the way around, and then removing that little wooden thing right here. Be removing this by cutting this first with a box blade knife, with a box blade, a razor blade, or a knife, and cut that paint. After you cut that paint, put you a little hammer on there and pry that trim off. You can see where the nails are. There's a nail right here, so I put my little pry right here and pull right where that nail's at. Here's a little seam right here, so that's a good spot. You could peel it right here on that nail and pry that off right there. And there's another nail right here. So cut all that with a razor blade, find the nail here and here, pry those off, and we'll be peeling this trim off just like this. Remember to cut it first, peel it off, grab this, peel it off, scrape it off, whatever you have to do to get it off. You can also skim coat over it if you want to. In some cases, in my case, this is not a good idea because there's no glue or nails or anything holding this on, and it just wouldn't look right. So in my case, I actually have to tear it off completely. But go watch out on my sheetrock series playlist and see how to skim coat this, and we'll also be skim coating this. If you were to skim coat this, you would just prime it first and then do the same thing. You're gonna wanna go vertical, horizontal, and then diagonal, okay? 3 different patterns over those lines, and then sand it all, okay? And it'll look very nice, and it'll look just like sheetrock. So in some cases, if this was glued or very solid on the wall, you could prime it, skim coat it, peel off the trim, run you a piece of mud from here, mud, and then tape that mud line, and then do that and make this smooth. So make this smooth wall by skim coating this. So skim coat, take off the trim, do the mud line, and you can make all of this look just like sheetrock without doing a whole bunch of demolition. You would basically just be taking off a piece of trim and skim coating everything with one mud line like this around the room. In my case, I'm tearing it off. I'm just going over some different options with you guys because we're out here shooting the show. Shooting the shed, you know what I mean? All right, so I'm gonna have to fix a hole here, and I'm gonna keep peeling this off, cut this and peel that off, and I'll see you guys back here after I get the paneling and this trim off. I'm gonna start with that. I'm gonna zoom out, and then we're gonna have to paint the ceiling. We're gonna have to do some caulking. We're gonna have to remove that okay? The black mold and the window unit, which is trash, it does not work. Also, I've already put a light bulb in there, but we're gonna be replacing the ceiling fan and putting a light fixture in here, something less to break for tenants not to break. Put a flush mount LED just like we did in the other bedroom. We'll put a light bulb in right here, and this closet we'll just paint all this stuff white, and the rest of the room will be gray, and we'll do it like that. But you guys will see how this all turns out here at the end of this video. So this is what it looks like now that I've ripped all the paneling off. You can see around the baseboards. We'll just take a razor blade, or I will, and I'll be cutting with a razor blade that paneling right along the edge of the top of that baseboard. All the way around with a razor blade. We're gonna have some things to do, like a mud seam right here. This is a sheetrock seam that's never been mudded. Okay, it's about as good as this one, honestly. So we'll do this mud seam from right here all the way down, okay? And then we'll have another mud seam right here, and we'll have to fix this one, and so on and so forth. So basically one right here, you can see it all the way up. We'll have to redo this mud seam from right here all the way down. And then you can see this other one right here, okay? We'll be redoing this seam right here, probably leaving that one and trying to make it look better. And then we'll be retaping this and all, and down all the way to the floor. I'm about to take that razor blade right now and cut right here. We'll have to do a corner seam. There's no tape in this corner. There's no tape in any of these corners, okay? There's tape right here though. Medical tape. It's always a good fix. When you need some medical supplies, you just take one off there. Okay. Here's this we'll be removing. Gonna take all the nails and all the screws. There's a tack. We'll have to take all this type of stuff out. I have other videos on this type of stuff. We'll be removing these screws with the Phillips head, removing this screw right here, removing the trim. I wanted to show you guys these holes in the walls before I move on. There's another seam right here that we have to do, and a lot of discoloration from water and moisture and behind there and stuff. Some mold, obviously. We have some places where there's some mold, so I'll have to use a special kind of paint from here down. Kills paint from here down, regular paint from here up. So what we'll have to do is I'll probably end up actually just killing this whole, put Kills paint on all of this, all the way up to the ceiling. Okay. Once we get to the point where we do the primer, I'll put Kills primer on this whole room just to sanitize it, clean it, keep the mold from coming back, and get some a window unit in here to circulate the air and such, and it won't just be sitting year after year empty. But this right here, all these holes were from an electrician. There's a wire running in the wall right here, and it runs to this plug, and then from this plug it runs around into the next room. Okay, that's why they did the paneling and all that stuff like this. But anyway, that's fun stuff from an electrician. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna fix it, make it all right, make it like it used to be. And we're gonna get this thing back in the glory of its old days. Okay. Hello. Another thing I want to point out is that this paneling was put on with just nails, okay? Just a bunch of little nails, okay? And this right here, look at that floor work. I'll have to scrape all that off. I have a video on how to cut spray foam. Okay, go check out all my painting playlist and sheetrock playlist, stuff like that. But I have videos on how to cut that. I'll use my multi-tool. You could also use a little mini hand hacksaw. Here's some 2-inch screws and the DeWalt XR brushless impact drill with a Milwaukee extension. And that's magnetic with a Phillips head for the screws, of course, and a power stack battery and a radio with an extra battery there. Here are all the holes, and you can see they are not exactly all square. This was an electrician that came in and he cut in all of this. So now I'm gonna be replacing all of those. I'm also gonna be using this tool right now This cuts through sheetrock and metal. It's a multi-tool with a multi-blade on it. And I have a 4Ah battery. You can see what I'm gonna be doing is squaring up all of these, making sure they're square, and you can already see how bad these walls are. There's mold, there's cracks, there's electrician holes, there's stuff like this, okay? There's stuff like this, all right? And there's stuff like this, okay? There's that paneling. I still have not cut that, but the more important thing is getting rid of all of these holes right now. So, I bought a small piece of sheetrock, not a full piece of sheetrock at Lowe's is about $12. I bought a small piece for $7, and that small piece, I'll cut a lot of small pieces out of that one small piece, and I'll make all these, and that small piece of sheetrock is only about this big, and I could fit it inside my car. Now, I want to show you guys, this is what it looks like. Okay. So this is why I'm gonna have to put Kills paint on the walls now that we've gotten rid of, the reason this is molding is because that paneling, there was a small space in between the paneling and that drywall. And because probably there was nobody living in here for a long time, the mold has started to grow in between those two things because there's no air ventilation and it's just muggy and musty and just, you know, probably had a small window leak, or maybe the window was left open at some point in time. A little bit of water got in behind that. There, water probably got in behind right here at some point, or maybe it still leaks slightly through this window unit. So we're gonna fix all this, get rid of all those barriers for mold to grow, and we're gonna Kills it, patch the holes, and we're gonna get this baby running back in pristine condition. Okay, I've still got the trim on here, which I'll be cutting with a razor blade and removing, but let's go ahead and start. I'm gonna go ahead and square all these holes up and cut pieces to fit inside there, and I'll be back with you guys. Okay, you can see here, I have taken off the trim. The trim is removed. I cut all the way around. You can see right here. I cut all the way around and I took the trim off. And also I put the backer boards in, which look like this over here. You can see the sheetrock I have patched. It's a little thicker, okay, than the old sheetrock for whatever reason. I guess, actually this is wood. It's not sheetrock. So there's a little bit of a difference. But I'm gonna go ahead and shave this off with a handheld hacksaw, and I've driven these screws in a little bit, and I'm gonna basically flush this off, okay, so that it's indented instead of out, but we've still filled in the hole, okay? So that's what's going on, but you can see where I've placed my screws. I've one here and one here holding the backer board and one inside the board, okay? That's the same way all the way around. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. This is only a 3-inch piece. Okay, and then there's a piece here I haven't done in here. I've got the wood in there. I was gonna show you guys, this one is a little bit different, okay? I have one on this side and I have one on this side. This piece in the middle is old and it is, it's not wood, it's sheetrock and it's already cracked. So I put a piece of wood here just to secure all this to it. And once I put the sheetrock in here, it'll pull everything. You can see why I put a screw here and a screw down here to pull this wood this way, and it flattens everything out. It pulls it tight like this, pulls it tight like this on this side, and then we're gonna put this and screw it in like right here and right here into that wood, and that pulls everything super tight. And then this portion right here, I'm gonna put screws down here and then put one screw right here in the middle, okay? And that'll pull all that nice and neat. It'll pull this piece of sheetrock, this broken one, and this one all together. Okay, you can see there's a piece here, which it needs a couple of screws over here. Okay, it needs a screw here, and it's already got one here, but I'll have to work on this a little bit more. Put another screw at the bottom and one right here, and then one in the stud in the middle. So I'm gonna basically put the screws in this piece they had, put the screws in this piece. We've got all these, okay, over there. I showed you how I'm gonna do this one. This one I'm leaving open for now. That's because I'm gonna be moving this plug over to here, and we'll get that figured out probably tomorrow when I'm doing the electrical on this, or either that or after I get done skim coating, we'll see. But for now, I'm gonna leave this one open. You can see these ones right here, how I have them set up. Backer boards are in, but the screws aren't. I'll put one here, one here, one here, one here, and then one there and one there. Okay, that's how that's gonna go, just like that. And this one right here on the very end, I have not got that one done yet. So I'm gonna be working on that one also right here. And then that one I'm leaving open, but everything else is gonna be done. So I'll bring you back here in a second once I've got this one done and then get all the screws in for these. Here's what it looks like now. I've scraped all of those flush where they're flush or indented with the wall, except for that one, like I said. So here's what I'm doing, okay? I have, like I said, this is what I'm doing. What's coming off is just flakes of paint off of this right here, okay? But this is what I'm doing to make sure it's all flat. Okay, it's all flat. You can see, if you can see that, it's actually indented slightly. And I'm doing this with one hand, but that's all I'm doing. Getting it slightly indented. How did I do that? I used this tool right here, the osculating tool, or the multi-tool. I always say that wrong. People try to correct me. But it's a multi-tool, DeWalt multi-tool XR brushless with a 4AH XR battery. And there it is. I've used it to get all of those slightly indented. You can see all the rubble down below. Okay, and I've done that all the way around the room. All right, now the last thing I have to do, this one broke a little bit, but the last thing I have to do is drive in a couple of the screws that are sticking out a little bit too far. I think this one right here. Yeah, I have to drive that screw in just a little bit because you can see it hits it. Okay, so I have to drive that screw in just a little bit, but we're basically there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and tape these seams and put some tape on there and mud and tape all of those right now so they can dry overnight, and then I can come and skim coat the whole room tomorrow. Lots of work. You can see it's dark outside right now. I'm about to drive those screws in and finish this up. I'll see you guys here back tomorrow whenever I start skim coating this whole room. Now I have smoothed out all of those, and you've seen how I did that, but I'm taping now. I'm gonna show you just something that I do. Basically, you don't have to do this, but like, I really beat the heck out of these trying to cut them down because of the size difference and stuff like that. But if you have like a corner busted out like this, I put just anything I can find, like metal, a screw, some of this, whatever, and you can put stuff in there like that, and it holds the mud together. And then obviously I'll put tape over that. But before I do put the tape on this portion, on the bad parts, I'm gonna put the mud first and then put the tape, okay? Now, over here, this one's fine, and it'll need a little piece, just a little tiny strip right here, and a little tiny strip right here on all these, and I'm just showing you what I'm doing. Basically, just using the bandage stuff on this because there's so many seams and this stuff is flatter and easier to work with. So, here is another portion. I'm gonna be putting tape over all of this
but mudding it before I put tape on it. And I've put some wood in there and some metal in there to hold it together. And then obviously with the tape and bandages, everything will be covered. This one was good. I'll have to put the down strips. And over here, I've got the metal in there, okay? This one, I'm gonna work on that later for the plug whenever I get to that. This one I've done here. This is what I have, okay? This one was good, and this one was good, okay? I just put a screw in right over here. I don't think you can see it, but I put a screw right there and jammed a screw in the side over here and a little tiny piece of sheetrock that busted when I was cutting all that off, and I put it back in there, and that's done. Okay, so that's just kind of like the different phases. All of them were perfect, and then I had to mess them all up, and then now I'm taping, filling in all the little places and all that, and this is what I'm doing. I'm just showing you guys so you know. Now I'm gonna show you guys what I mean now that it's done. I've filled in those really bad spots with the nails and then stripped another piece of tape over it. That's all I've done. And all of those really bad spots like that one was okay. We filled in that one, put the tape on. I put tape, 3 strips, one here, one in the middle, one here, all the way up to that corner around that window you can see. I've done this window, there's a hole there, so I filled that in, ran the tape up all the way to there, you can see, and down, and then around this portion, which they did. I did not do that. I'm taping it and have to fix it because it's all, you know, jagged. I ended up putting those screws down right here. I even had to put screws up along right here, right here you can see. And then the tape, of course. I'm just explaining everything that I'm doing to fill these holes at the bottom and around this portion and up, because there was a bunch of loose stuff like this right here. So I'm gonna scrape all of this off. That side over there was an indentation. This side over here is coming out. You can see it's flaking out. So I'm just gonna scrape all that off with my one of my mud knives over here. Okay, I'm using this pan and these mud knives. One of them is larger. This is a 10-inch, okay, and then a 6-inch, and then this is a 12-inch mud pan. Okay, so that's that. There's one hole I haven't done here. I keep pushing that one off. But these two, you can see now, that's mudded the first coat. And over here I filled in that load spot. About to strip that tape on there. I'm showing you all the different phases so you can see along the way. Everything's so wet, so I gotta go fast. But there it all is. You can see going up and around that window. I'm having to fix this portion up to right there. Okay, all of this, basically, this was busted out. We got mouse holes, we got strips out right here. I'm gonna have to put a piece of tape right here over this hole and one over this hole, and then not here, but I'll have to put tape right here, tape right here, tape right here, scrape this, pull a few more nails. I've pulled nails and tacks and all that, so go ahead and start pulling all that. Watch my other episodes, check out my sheetrock series playlist, all my playlist even. You're gonna see this over here. This is lead-based paint. If you come across something like this, you might wanna wear a mask or just be careful. But that is lead-based paint back behind this blue color, this gray color. And anyway, so you can see this is wood. That's not sheetrock. So this is all wood, which is why it looks a little bit different. We're gonna skim coat this wood, and I'm gonna show you. I'm showing you guys just what I'm doing so you know. This is all old sheetrock, which I had to shave all this down because they were too thick. Remember, now we're taping and I'm showing you the phases of all those different holes. And look at all the different examples I'm giving you guys for free. And then look at this. I have to put tape here. But anyway, this side's wood. This side's 1940 flat. That's 60, 70, 85 years old sheetrock that I'm fixing. It's different sizes. I showed you how to fix that. I'm showing you how to fix the worst ones to the best. The easy one here, I'm gonna show you guys that after here shortly. I'm showing you guys what you can and can't do. This has to go. We have to make this go away. Check out my other videos, my other playlist, sheetrock series playlist on more details of everything. I have how to do everything. Ceiling fan, lights, everything, okay? But check this out. This is all wood and this is lead-based paint. So be careful with that. We're gonna skim coat all over everything. I'm gonna put tape over this seam, okay? Because you can see the wood meets the wood right here. I'm gonna tape it just like normal. I'm not gonna tape this seam. Why? Well, because it's wood and I just basically scored it with a knife all the way down so I could take off that trim. It's perfectly fine. I'm just gonna run mud right over it just like this. Scrape it first to scrape everything off. We're gonna be taking out all the nails, all the screws, all the tacks, all the everything, skim coating over all this, but we have to put tape. Even though this is wood, I'm gonna tape it like sheetrock. It's already painted, but if it's not painted and it's raw wood like that paneling was, you're gonna have to paint it. You're gonna have to prime it or paint it first. But if it's now, this already has paint on it. So I'm just gonna skim coat it and run that tape down that seam where the pieces of wood meet, okay? That's all I'm doing. Tape, mud. I'm gonna be mudding just like we did over everything else. Horizontal, vertical, diagonal, okay? 3 different patterns, 3 different days. Dry, 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 different pattern each time. We're gonna fill in everything. I'm gonna caulk everything. I'm gonna spray the ceiling just like we did the rest of the other videos. So if you wanna see how I do all of that in detail, go check out all that of this portion of the house. And also this portion, which the episode is coming. Here's your sneak peek. I've done this whole room, okay, also. And I'll show you how I do that. So you can see this room is just really, it's a lot. It's quite a bit of work. It's okay though. I'm not complaining. It's gonna take you a minute. It took me longer than a minute, but it took me about probably like 2 hours. But anyway, that's just the tape. I have not even started skim coating yet. And this is what it's looking like. And I wanna show you guys one other thing because I'm not done yet. Nope. I have to go to each corner in the room right here, these corners. From here up, it's good. That's not a crack, by the way. That's just they just didn't sand very good. But from here down, there is nothing in between right here. So I have to put paper tape here, okay? And I'm gonna be using paper tape over here, okay? This is done from here up. But from here down, once again, it's just raw. And I'm gonna be putting this right over here. Not this tape, but this paper tape. This paper tape is what I'm gonna use in the corners, and I have videos already on that in my sheetrock series playlist on how to do a paper corner and other things. He's a good helper. I am back here, actually. It is the next day. Last night, I stayed late last night till about 10, 11 o'clock last night. Alternator went out when I was gonna go on the way home last night. The alternator was starting to go bad. So I went ahead and took today to go ahead and fix that and get ahead of it before I destroy my whole Toyota Camry 2004, 224,000 miles on it. Got her fixed today for $314. So, I am back here once again, and it is actually about to start getting dark here. It's about 7:30 at night. Beautiful evening out here at the project today. But even after all of that time and waiting patiently and getting the car worked on, the worst spots are still drying. This is the worst spot. I put a ton of mud right here because you can see there's going to be a problem where this wall is basically smooth, and then it took a hard dip this way. So I put a lot of mud here. I'm just showing you guys what I'm doing. So put a lot of mud here to build this out, which you can see is why it's still wet right here. Dry here because I did the normal up and down. Today I'm gonna do left and right, right and left like this. Yesterday was the up and down, but you can see this up and down portion right here I filled in. So I'm gonna dry this with my heat gun, and I'll show you that heat gun here in a minute. But I'm gonna dry that with the heat gun. I'm officially official, and I have a heat gun. I'm no longer using a hair dryer. I have both, but I have an official heat gun now. And I'm gonna be heating this up with the heat gun, and you'll see it'll turn white like this. Once it turns white, I'll fill in this. I'll go up and down again, just in this portion and in this portion as well. I had to do the same thing. I had to really build this out, fill this in and build this out with 4, 5 strips of tape even, okay, on the vertical day. But there it is from top to bottom. You can see all my tape and everything. It's looking pretty good other than this area and this area, okay? Everything else looks as it should. These little waves and dips, that's okay, because today we're gonna go this way and fill all those in. And you'll see the corner, I put the paper tape in the corner, and that's what that is looking like just after one coat. Well, not one coat, that's just me sticking the tape on. Go check out my corner videos in my sheetrock playlist. But that's that, a beautiful job right here. Another beautiful job over here, but you can see this one was a little bit worse, and there were some worse spots that are still drying, okay, on this corner. But a beautiful job once again. And I'll go over this, a first coat, a second coat, and maybe a third. Like everything else is gonna get 3 coats. Horizontal, vertical, diagonal. The corners will just be up and down. Everything else down here, I'm gonna skim coat as well, okay? But it's just gonna get 2 skim coats because it's already a smooth wall. So today, I'll catch this up with this, and tomorrow when I come back, everything will be white. Hopefully I'm making sense. You have to build it back together in phases, otherwise you get ahead of yourself and nothing will look right or get done. So I gotta dry these areas before I go ahead and keep going. The worst of the worst areas, but even these, just on the first coat, everything is already vanishing. This is looking great already. This is looking great already. It's not ready, but it's looking great already, is what I mean. It's in the right direction. All of this is gonna look wonderful. I'll have to dry this because I also put a thick layer right there of mud to build this corner out, because this top portion right here, this was all the way it should be, flat, 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 but there was a bump in because a tree branch fell on the roof at one point. Cracked it right here, bowed it in. So I'm just building this out so it doesn't look funny and no one will see. If you look up above, the roof has a little, you know, I'm not gonna fix every little thing, but once I'll paint all this and I'll fix some areas on touch-up day. But really, nobody's ever gonna know, okay? But if you look outside, you would see a little dent in the roof. But I'm fixing it inside with this. Just showing you guys some tricks. It's gonna look beautiful. I mean, I'm gonna rent this property out for $900 a month. So making beauty into ashes. So, you know, people aren't gonna be worried about the roof as much and the ceiling as much as their pretty walls. They want the house to look clean, pretty, cute, and fun in a good location. That's what people want. Yeah, daddy got it all, baby girl and baby boy. Anybody lives around here, get with me. Actually, sorry, this one's already rented. And there's the man with the plan, Ched. And here is what I'm using, the heat gun. This is the official heat gun that I'm using. It has all kinds of settings and everything. It's this Wagner right there, Inferno 700 Wagner. I love it. It gets super hot, very hot. It'll dry that thing in a matter of a couple of minutes. Okay, we're getting it close onto the wall and it'll dry it right out. It's amazing. It is midnight and here is what it looks like. Okay, I'm gonna do it zoomed out first. Okay, I filled in this low spot. This was a very, very low wave, very deep right here. I went over this again. It's starting to look good now. This is the second coat. We went horizontal today. You can see the lines, they're horizontal. Yesterday we filled in the vertical lines. Okay, so they see how they fill in each other and it gets smoother. Okay, it's much smoother. Let me zoom in. See, very nice, very smooth. This portion, I had to put another very thick layer right here. You can see this is the second super thick layer, dragging it from here, clear out to here this time again. That'll take all night to dry, and then I'll have to dry that again tomorrow because that's gonna definitely be wet. And then you can see right here was a low spot, right here was all low, right here, all from those impacts from the trees outside, I guess. So I'm filling in that spot and this spot, and then this spot right here, that spot right there, and then there's this spot right here, okay, that I'm working on still. But you can see everything is skim coated. All the holes are looking wonderful. Okay, you're not even gonna see those tomorrow. Those are all gone, except for this one for the electrical, and this one right here. I had to peel back some more of that stuff because there was some mold and stuff trying to grow back in this corner. So I got rid of all of the paper and stuff, and I'll have to bleach this and then put kills. Like I said, this whole room will have to get kills because of the mold. Most of the mold is gone now, but it's just underneath that. So what we're gonna do is put kills on that, and it soaks into that and kills everything and doesn't let anything grow. It smells terrible too. But anyway, I'll show you guys what I'm using on that to kill all the mold in this room and this portion right here. But anyway, other than a couple of these last little areas, this ceiling's pretty much done and ready to paint. The walls just need one more coat, the diagonal. Everything is starting to come together. Everything is looking very nice. I've went over this whole room inch for inch. I'm starting to, on the second coat, build these windows out more. You can see how they're squaring up. They're starting to look nice. It's still rough, but third coat will buff this out quite a bit more. You can see this side's already looking nice, okay? And these areas are starting to look a lot better. And look at this window over here. You can see we're refining this corner, okay? It's starting to look very good. This corner I've built out today. I've almost got it completely finished. Okay, you can see, and all the way over to here, this is a low spot right here, okay? And that corner is gonna be starting to come out very nicely. And this isn't even painted or sanded, so keep in mind, you gotta be gracious on it, and the floors are dirty. I think I've decided I'm gonna carpet this house instead of laminating it all, just for the simple fact that I'm just a little behind schedule on this project from the eviction that I did and some other things that have come up just in the day-to-day. Instead of laminating this entire house, I'm just gonna do the carpet, and I'll do laminate in the bathroom and in the kitchen. So you'll have to follow me over to my next episodes to see where I cut the floor out and stuff before I do the flooring. But anyway, let's keep going on this because this is what this video is all about. A lot of work. It is the next day and it is nighttime once again. I spent all day again today just going over spots and building out these areas again, which you can see. I'm about to go home again. There's really not much else I can do. I need to let all this dry again. So I've got all of this smoothed out down here basically, except for that portion, okay? Again, for the third day in a row, I'm building out this again, okay? And that's gonna take all night once again to dry, and it's still gonna need more tomorrow. So still building in up and out and around this area, okay? And then this area, I'm having to build out again also. Everything else is looking pretty good. I had to build this out once again, and I'm gonna have to build it out once again, filling this side in. So what I'm doing whenever I build this out, I'm building it out where it's low. So I'm just putting the mud on thick so that when I run, this is a skill, guys. I'm just trying to explain it so you understand. But yeah, it's a skill. You're not gonna just be able to put mud on the, this looks bad, but this is literally art. I mean, the reason it's there is to make the wall look beautiful. Okay, once that dries, I'm building that wall out. Look how good that wall is starting to look now. See, I'm building it out one layer at a time, like a 1/16 of an inch at a time until it's, you know, this is already the third coat. I'm gonna be doing another fourth coat here and another fourth coat here and a fourth coat. Look at the windows, they're starting to come together, okay? But I'll still need a fourth coat around these windows, which were really bad. Okay, right here, I'll need a fourth coat. And the corner, okay? The corner is looking marvelous. Okay, and this corner, still wet, looking marvelous. Remember all the holes, I'm still going over those areas. This one was still, but look, I mean, those have completely vanished. Just wait until I put the Kills paint and the real paint and clean up the baseboards and paint everything. This is gonna just do miracles, really, whenever I paint, but it's not the paint, it's the art. It's the G behind the camera, bro. That's what's gonna make this room look legit. Okay, I'm only invested in pulling the nails, the time involved, which is 4 days so far. Tonight's Thursday night, tomorrow's Friday, so I'm gonna have this done and painted either tomorrow or Saturday. Okay, we'll just say Saturday, this will be done. But yeah, it's art. So even though we're doing a vertical, a horizontal, and a diagonal, well, we did horizontal, we did diagonal. No, we did vertical first, and then we did horizontal, and instead of doing diagonal today, I'm filling in all the spots, and I'm doing the artsy stuff, okay? I'm doing the artsy stuff. I lied to you. Usually you would do those 3 patterns, and you wouldn't need to do the artsy stuff, but this room was a terrible, terrible room, so I'm doing the artsy stuff today. And getting it ready for that diagonal day. We're building out the low spots. We're doing the
the corners, the holes, the areas. We're gonna, like I said, it's gonna be a 4-coat, a 5-coat, even a 6-coat deal here, this room. Because, not the whole room, of course, but you can see, I'm counting this as the 4th coat, which I basically went over inch for inch on this wall today, and then buffed out this area, like I said, and then I went inch for inch over here on this wall and buffed out some of the areas that were really bad, okay? And then on this wall, I just went around the window, and you can see right over here, and basically inch for inch down here. I skipped around this part because it's good already, and then I built out this area right here, and I left this alone, okay? I'm gonna come back tomorrow and we'll do diagonal day. We'll see how this looks actually. But if this doesn't look good, I'm gonna go ahead and do a 5th coat in these areas before we do diagonal day, and then I'll catch back up with you tomorrow at midday or whatever, once I get this ready to do the sanding. See you soon. Here is actually I think the 5th coat now. And it's a pretty full coat. There's a few places I didn't go over, and I'm gonna go over one more time in certain spots. Okay, but here's what it's looking like after 5 coats in certain areas. Of course, all these areas are starting to really look good. They're starting to go away. This area I'm building out still. It's still not done yet. So I'm gonna be working on that, obviously, clearly. But this area over here, this is looking good. Everything is starting to look good, and this is all where it's wet and stuff. Once it all dries, see those old holes there in these areas. But anyway, once that all dries, it'll basically all look white like this, like the room's been painted. I still have to fix that hole and this. I'm thinking about doing those 2 things tomorrow, and then just using the hair dryer, not the hair dryer, this right here, this little heat gun to dry those areas up quickly. Here is what the room is looking like right now. It is actually midnight, and this is coat 5. Yes, that last coat, I did just certain spots. This coat, I did pretty much everything. Still working out the details, but here's what it's looking like after 5 coats. And over here, these were the spots that I worked on. Right over here, I'm still having to build this out. It's quite significant. It needs more work still. There's still gouges, but we brought it out at least where it looks square now. And this is smooth up here, and it was going back towards the window out this way. So I'm building it out still. It didn't look good enough for me and my Ken. So here you go. This is looking good. This portion I didn't have to do a whole lot, but you can see more areas right here, and around this window is starting to look very nice. These areas I worked on like a stair step almost. You can see when you get flashlights on the wall, get along the wall and shine your flashlights down it, and you can see all the blemishes, and then go and do that, turn the lights off and get your flashlight out. So you turn the lights off and get your flashlight shining down these walls so you can see. And this is looking beautiful all the way up the top. All those big creases and gouges and all that stuff's going away. And I'm happy. Like I said, it's midnight. We're actually that's about all I can do. Oh, I was gonna show you guys too before I go. This is what I'm doing on the door. You can see this is painted wood. If your wood is not painted, you'll need to paint it first. But if it is painted already, then you can go ahead and skim coat these bad areas like this. And I'm gonna skim coat the doors right over this wood. Like I said, if it's painted already, and that'll fill in all the holes and blemishes and all the things inside the wood. Okay, same thing over here. There is a spot right here where the wood was cracked, and I filled in the low spots and the high spots and blah, blah, blah. You can take your finger while it's wet and get it off that wood, so when you paint it, you can't see, you can still see all these details in the paint and all that. Okay, so that's basically all we're doing. Okay, and we'll sand it too once this is all dry. But that's all we're gonna be doing, and that's what I've done on this door. There was some spots up here too. So you'll see once I paint this door, it'll look brand new. Let's see here. That's what it's looking like. I'll be back tomorrow once this is all dry to sand, and after sanding, I'll go ahead and start painting the baseboards. So I'll see you guys back after I sand. That's living the dream right there. Yes, he's living the dream. Sound asleep. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and he is out cold right there along that baseboard. I am back, and I made a full video on this plug, this receptacle area right here. And so go check out that. A receptacumilikilosis, the rebellious one. Okay, go watch this one. And I'm gonna show you guys right now what I'm gonna be doing. Ain't that right, Chad? I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna get rid of the mold. What I'm gonna be doing with this mold, okay? And then go check out that video if you wanna see how I replaced that right there and patched it. And then there's some more mold right here. I had to remove the paper, okay? Because there's, in the past, probably from the window or something, water got down and around this plug, water was seeping in and around and got the paper wet. On sheetrock, there's a paper layer. Well, that whole paper layer just peeled right off of that sheetrock, and you can see there was water in between the sheetrock and the paper, holding moisture in right here from the windows, from the old windows. These windows have been replaced now. There is black mold here as well, so you can see there was some issues in the past, but they have been solved now, and I'm solving them now by cutting all of this with a razor blade and peeling that paper that's loose. All this paper is solid, very solid. So now I'm gonna put some tape over all of these areas, tape, and then put mud over all of this, and tape, lots of tape, paper tape, okay? I'm gonna be doing that. And I may be using the other tape, we'll see. There's two options right there. I got the paper and the stick-on. I might do the stick-on because it's a little bit flatter, a little bit less bumpy on these flat joint seams, opposed to the paper tape, because you have to put the mud on the wall first and then the tape, and then 2 or 3 layers of mud over the tape, or coats with sanding and all. So it's gonna be a little bit thicker, but so I'll probably do the mesh tape like this, and we'll tape around all this, mud over it. I'll do 3 times. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna be using. I'm gonna be using this right here, Lysol disinfectant spray, and I'm gonna spray a really thick layer on right here, and then a really thick layer on over here, okay, in those 2 areas, and I'll be spraying here as well, and inside here and around. After I kill all that mold, I'm gonna dry it with this heat gun. I've showed you guys several times before. This is my heat gun, the Inferno, or whatever, I believe. Let's see what it's actually called. It's the Wagner Ferno 700. I'm gonna use this right here to dry those areas right there and right there. This has not been primed, but I have a primer that I'm gonna be putting on today. This is just skim coated. I've done all 3 layers, and this is still not sanded. I'm gonna be sanding this today, and you can see it already looks wonderful except for these 2 spots. I'm gonna use the Inferno again. Here in the next 30 minutes, I'll have both of these spots, 3 coats mud, taped, sanded, and everything caught up with these whole areas, and that plug is ready. I'll remove that cover off of there, and we'll get to painting. Let me show you guys what color, not what color, but what primer I'm gonna be using. I shop at Lowe's, so Lowe's has discontinued using Kills paint, and that is sold only at Home Depot now. So this is what I'm gonna be using now. I'm starting now. Sharon Williams from Lowe's, oil-based power primer, extreme. It blocks the toughest, most challenging stains, okay? This is gonna be my new go-to. It's 30 bucks, okay? Well, about $33, okay, for 1 gallon. And this is the cheaper primer if you don't have all the stains and the mold. Like the rest of the house, I use this is only $15 for a gallon of regular primer. So this is really my go-to, which is what we'll be painting anything in the house that's white. We'll be using this. This I just got to paint that whole room white with a primer because of all the mold and the stains. This is the actual paint that I'll be using, the gray color, which you see right here. Okay, so that's the paint that I'm gonna be using. Let me get these holes patched. Go check out my Sheetrock Series playlist if you don't know how to patch holes. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this with bleach, give it a sponging, mud and tape these 2 areas, patch that hole, dry it with the Inferno, and I'll see you guys back here for the primer. I actually forgot to mention the other thing I was gonna mention was look at the door. I've skim coated it top to bottom, filled in any bad spots, and you can see the lead-based paint. I filled in those grooves going on vertical, horizontal, diagonal, same thing on the doors. We're gonna be filling in all the holes and making it look
beautiful, okay? You can see right here, there was a chip in the wood. I filled that in. I filled that crack. We're leveling that crack out. So I didn't fix the crack, I'm just leveling it out. And then we're gonna sand it and you'll never see it was there. Remember to run your finger down areas like this so that when you're sanding, you don't have to sand those grooves. You can just go like that, okay? And then we'll be doing a light sanding on this door in some of these areas, which I filled in all this here and these. And you can see the lead-based paint fill-ins and all that. I'll sand these doors whenever I sand the walls for this room. And you can just see it's already gonna look, it's gonna look wonderful. So I'll see you guys here back shortly when I'm painting. We'll also be painting the ceiling and removing the ceiling fan and putting a new light fixture and all the good stuff. So stay close. Let's get this thing going. Take you guys inside the room right now. I have just finished scraping the baseboards, okay? I've scraped all the baseboards all the way around, okay? And I have swept and vacuumed and all of that. You can see I scraped off all that foam and everything off the baseboards. And I know it looks really bad, but it's clean now. And I've scraped everything off of it all the way around. That's lead-based paint that I scraped off. You can see there's some over here also. And here is the room. It's looking wonderful. Let me zoom out so you can see the actual room. Here it is. And I'm about to start painting right now. I'm gonna show you guys that process. And I'm also gonna be painting all of this and the ceiling as well. We'll be doing caulking shortly and then also the trim. Here's what I'm gonna use to paint. The True Coat 360 DS, okay? There it is. I need to make a full video on that eventually, but I have an idea for that in the future, and it's not this house because I have a lot of things going on here, and that's the least of my worries. But this is what I'm gonna be using, and I'm gonna show you guys the of me spraying. It's an electric one that you just plug in. This is the primer. This is the gray paint that I'm using, and the primer for non-stains. This is for the mold and all that, for that bedroom. But I'm gonna be using this on the baseboards. So let's get that done.
Show you guys what I'm doing now. I just finished painting the gray. I rolled on the primer, I rolled on the gray. Okay, so roll on, and I sprayed the baseboards and all the trim. We did that plug. I have a new mini blind right here for this section right here. I'm gonna put a mini blind. This portion I'm gonna leave for now, but eventually I'll bust this out and put a new window unit in. This over here, I'm gonna put these, this little bamboo, and I built a window seal. You can see it's just a cheap 1x4. These are about $2.50 for an 8-foot board, and I can make two because these are 4 foot long. And so I can do 2 windows per 8-foot board. Same with the 2x4. This is a 2x4, you can see, straight cut, and a 1x4 straight cut with a little notch out right here, which I'll put a little bit of caulking in right here. And over here, a little bit of caulking in right there, straight cuts, and a little bit of caulking right here, okay? Anyway, I'm gonna paint that white. You can see it's just a 2x4. I pre-drilled all the holes, and I pre-drilled here and here. This one is screwed into this one. You can see how that works. This is going down like that. And then I pre-drilled here going into the actual wall boards underneath the window seal there. Right along right here, there's a window frame, and I also have framing playlists where you can see how to frame a window. So where the framing is actually behind the sheetrock, and you can see how that's all put together. Anyway, go check out that. And I'm gonna paint this, and I'm gonna paint that, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. And I have videos on how to hang mini blinds, and I have another videos on how to do this, but I'll show you guys how this is all put together once I'm done. And I have to do the touch-ups obviously up here, over here, and along the baseboards. Another thing I want to mention is you can see I put caulking around all the baseboards. Caulking here and caulking here. There's no gaps, no cracks, all the way around. That goes for the ceiling as well, even over here, okay? And all the way around, except for right there. I ran out of caulking, but I'll get that later. And you can see the ceiling. I put caulking in around all this right here. And I have to cut the edges up there. Anywho, I'll bring you guys back in a minute. Yes. Honey, I'm home. Honey, I just made it home, honey. Oh, honey, it smells like you took a done tooey in here. Did you take a caulk too? I mean, you can see the wall there, and you can see it almost. What'd you see? Honey, what'd you see? I asked you what you seen. I don't see nothing. That's a perfect wall. All right, so here's the room. You can see I have the bamboo, I have the mini blind, I have the window trim, or the window seal, and I have everything caulked. I have caulked too. And I've done everything. The only thing I haven't caulked is this right here. That's because I ran out of caulk. Sometimes there's just not enough. But you can see I did caulk everything else all the way around. I made a full video on this outlet right here. So go check out that, the rebellious outlet. Okay, I'm gonna zoom back out. You can see the closet and everything I painted white. Okay, the only thing, the ceiling, I caulked everything around here. I caulked too. And then I did this right here. Okay, gray to here, I'm leaving that white. Why? Because I'm gonna put a cocktail. Just kidding. No. I'm gonna have to cut that out. All right, so anyway, I'm gonna put a board right here, and I'm gonna put a board here and a board here, and then I'm gonna put a piece of pine wood, so like a panel of pine wood with hinges at the top on that board that I place in there, and it'll go up and down like that. But we won't do that in this video. I'll do that in another video. And this will be a storage container right up there. And I'll also use this area for storage, but also to run my my electrical like they have already done up here. So this will be a storage area. But anyway, other than that, you can see the doors, you can see the walls, you can see the ceiling, and I'm gonna go ahead and have to cut this video off. But I wanna thank everybody who's been following along. I have just crossed over 4,000 subscribers, and you guys are the reason why. I appreciate all of you guys who watch and stick around and watch and stuff. So I put a lot of work into this. You can see this is my office outfit for the day. Yesterday was the boots and shorts. But anyway, a lot of work, a lot of stuff to do, and I appreciate all of you. This is the room. And go ahead and share some of my videos if you find anything helpful like this one. Share it, do all the fun stuff you guys already have and do, I know, but hopefully this room looks good to you guys. I think it looks so beautiful. The only thing I have left to do is that doorknob. I forgot to do that. And that switch right there. But I have other things to worry about because I have an electrician coming. You can see this is the other portion of the house. And I have an electrician coming soon to work on this. We're gonna get rid of this, and I'm gonna put in a whole new box, a whole new kit. It's gonna have 20 slots here. Now, you'd really be surprised what you'd find in a nook like that after you build something like that. Oh, Coke 2, Coke 2, 1, 2, Coke 2. Yes, honey, I'll be waiting long time. No see, I'm waiting for you long time. Coke 2.
Daddy, look. He said, Daddy.